Hello everyone, welcome to the Minecraft Let's Play episode 93. And right now I'm poisoned for some reason. Okay, there. It wouldn't let me eat a second ago and I have no clue why. I'm trying to pick up all the things and it won't let me pick up all the things and it's making me angry. And I'm being poisoned right now. Okay, put that in there. Put those in there too. Give me that. Okay, let's go up here. I outlined some things in the village, which I'll show you guys later. Basically, this is where Meat Guy's gonna go. This is where a cleric. That's where a cleric's gonna go. This is where a blacksmith's gonna go. A blacksmith's gonna go over there, and a blacksmith is gonna go over there because weaponsmith, toolsmith, armorsmith. There's gonna be a house right here, windmill right here. I built up the wall where I had placed previously. Up to the height that I want the walkway on. Obviously, where the towers are going to be, that's going to be a little bit higher. I built the tavern, not completed. Right here's the bar. Guy will be behind there. We'll put seats in here. We'll put seats up here. Bam. Just to give a quick rundown. I'm going through this really fast, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't designed anything besides the windmill, and I don't really care for how the windmill turned out. So, I don't know. Let's go up to our house, though. I gotta go get some food. And we're gonna build, the rest of our house today. I completed it in creative. But, and it looks really, it looks weird, but it looks really cool. It's definitely a lot different. And I'm not sure if we're gonna keep it, but we likely will. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. It's just kind of me freeballing again, and kind of just coming up with something based off of a random shape I placed down on the ground. So it's not the greatest house in the world, and I wish I could come up with a better design. But I don't really have anything in my creativeness right now because I'm kind of stuck in this weird mode. What was I coming for? Food. That's what I came for. So let's get some food, and yeah. So I'm gonna try today not to talk about like the Microsoft buying Minecraft and stuff, and the reason why is because I want to cover it in a new series that I want to do, based on where I just kind of talk for like 30 minutes and do talk about main events and things and kind of ramble and it gives me a front to kind of share my opinion. And so yeah, this is what I built of the house last time you guys saw, and that we're ready to start building the roof, which I'm pretty excited about, and I think it's gonna turn out really well. So first things first, let's grab some cobble stairs. Alright, so let's climb up here. Probably could have climbed up here a better way. But regardless, let's climb up here. And let's do this. And while I'm doing this, I will kind of talk about one thing that is really, not really bugging me, but it does kind of bother me, and especially bothered me the other day. I kind of got angry. Well, I didn't get angry, but it's just like, I was more of like dumbfounded at how people don't understand. And I'll go ahead and explain what I mean. So I was watching hood pranks recently, and for those of you guys who don't know what hood pranks are, I'll go ahead and lay it down, which I'm sure most of you know what it is. But hood pranks are where people go in the hood. Normally just these like nerdy white guys. They go in the hood, and they'll prank guys, and they'll go up to them, and they'll say stuff like, "Hey man, you want to pop? You want to get popped?" But he'll have like a can of soda in his pocket, or like. And then he'll pull it out before it gets violent. A lot of times they don't have the chance because a lot of these guys, react before even thinking. And so, like there was one where this guy was like, you got a problem? And he like had a calculator, and he was like, oh, we're going to solve this problem. And he thought he was being funny. And there's been several other ones where he does that. There was one where he ran up to a guy and like pulled up his pants. He's like, "Don't disrespect the hood, yo," and like he got knocked out. And most of these people end up getting hit in the face. And I see in the comments, especially, and I know this is the internet, so I mean, I guess I should kind of expect this, the toxicity of it. But in the comments, people are saying the most racist things possible, like, you know, how black people react this way, and this is why nobody likes these beasts, and like all this random racist things, and just things I'm not even gonna, you know, dare to repeat. Um, and personally, it like it bothered me because I'm like, why are people such pieces of shit? What does race have anything to do with this? Just because the people they're going up to are majority black doesn't necessarily mean that's a black thing. Um, they're in the hood, all right, and this is a whole different topic. We could get into like white privilege and how, like, you know, black people like statistically are in poor neighborhoods and all these other things, but that's a whole different thing that I, one, don't know my numbers on. Two, I'm not a full believer in white privilege. I'm a partial believer in white privilege. I think it's, you know, I don't think anything a white person today can do to hold down a black person from stopping anything, but I do think that there's this sort of like pseudo white privilege where black people keep themselves down by blaming everything on white people. And that's a whole different topic, though. I mean, that's you know, insane. So I'm not even gonna get into it. But I might talk about that in the current event series that I want to do. But so let's go ahead and talk about the hood pranks. All right. So, you know, this isn't necessarily a black thing. It's anybody who comes from a poor neighborhood, and I grew up poor. I wasn't as bad off. I wasn't in like Project 8, you know, Section 8 housing or nothing. But I was fairly poor. And just to go ahead and give a little insight to that mentality, I guess, would be when you grow up in a place like they do, and I kind of have these certain traits in my personality because of the way I grew up. I'm a very aggressive person. I'm a very paranoid person. I think I don't trust people. I think people are going to steal from me, and that's just my personality. Like, it could be my best friend or something, but I can't like trust him alone where my belongings are because I would think that he was stealing from me. And I know that's a bad trait to have, but it's just the way I grew up. I like, you know, it's just I have a hard time trusting people because of, you know, growing up poor, living in bad neighborhoods and shit. And so, just to kind of give that frame of reference, you know, that's not color specific. Anybody can grow up in a poor neighborhood, and anybody can experience those kind of things. Because when you grow up in a poor neighborhood, typically these people, you know, poor gives it away. You know, you don't have the money, you can hardly survive. And a lot of people say get a job, which, I mean, is obvious. But a lot of people feel like they don't have any options, and a job won't pay enough, and who knows why they begin to commit crimes or whatever. Both, you know, and crimes aren't color specific either. Let's go ahead and get that straight. I know a lot of people would say that's obvious, but there are going to be some racist fucks out there who say that black people commit more crimes. But the fact is, you know, if you want to look at prison stats, you can't be fair because, you know, most prison stats are people who are nonviolent offenders who are arrested on marijuana charges. So, you know, which is completely stupid. So let's not look at prison stats. But, whoops, bumped my mic. but, but yeah, it's not color specific. Crimes aren't color specific. So let's go ahead and get that straight too. And what I hate most about these videos, these hood prank videos, are the comments. And these people, especially, and I'm guessing they're middle class, you know, white kids who have never been in a fight in their entire life. They've never experienced any sort of animosity or hostility in their life. Maybe besides like their parents arguing or something, and so they've never experienced it. And I went to school with kids like this, and then they would be like, man, why is this guy such a dick? Like, I've had friends before who, like, you barely touch them and they're ready to kill you, and it's just the way they grew up. It's their personality, and they're around a lot of hostile shit all the time, and then so they end up developing this kind of like, you know, PTSD sort of thing, and and so it's sort of like that. But just to kind of give a frame of reference to all those people out there who comment things like, why do these people, you know, they're often racist and they were just refer to the black people who are in the videos. But I've seen videos where white guys in the hood will just straight up, knock somebody out for saying something to them. They'll say like, why do these people react like this? And they're just so confused as to why people would react so harshly and so violently to someone who comes up to them and jokes around. If you go up to some random white guy in some random white neighborhood and say, hey man, you got a problem? He might be like, depending on who you're talking to, but he might laugh it off, or he might be like, no. Like, what are you talking about? Or he might be some frat guy, I don't know, who's like, what you gonna do, bro? Huh? Swing, bro, swing. And he's a pussy. He's the type that'll never fight, ever. And who's never been in a fight. And if he has, he was probably in a fight with some other frat bro who couldn't fight either. But regardless, so anyways, so a lot of times in these neighborhoods, especially, you're used to growing up around where people are committing crimes, people are robbing you, people are, and the reason why I explained before is because they're poor. They usually don't have any other sort of option, or at least they feel like they don't have any other option. Some people work really hard and they end up getting like 3 or 4 jobs, and then they work really hard to support their family, and they do a great job of living within the means of the law. But a lot of people feel like they can't do anything besides break the law, which is another white privilege type of topic. We can talk about how black people keep themselves down through thought, and instead of actually going out there and doing work, which is partial like pseudo white privilege. It's weird. It's really huge topic, and I don't want to get into it, but when you grow up in a neighborhood like that, you kind of develop this, like I said before, a PTSD type thing, where you're used to things going down. If you go up to, I don't know, someone who was shell-shocked in World War II, and they're used to being in, or World War One is a better example, and they're used to being in the trenches and people dying and stuff like that, then, I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase this. Then, if they heard like something like a car backfire, they'd be like, oh my God, the bombs hit the deck, and it's kind of the same way with people from poor neighborhoods and that sort of thing. If you go up to somebody who's used to being in fights all the time, they're used to dealing with conflict, they're used to some people robbing them, they're used to people treating them a certain way, and they're just used to this violence and used to this aggression and everything else. If you go up to them displaying aggression and acting like you want to fight, regardless if you're joking or not, they take it very seriously, because they deal with that on a day-to-day basis. And they will fight you. They will not hesitate to punch you in the face. And then these people are like, man, why do they punch these guys just because they're just joking? It's like, because you don't understand where they come from. You don't understand the environment that they live within. And I partially understand it. I definitely did not grow up in the worst neighborhoods. Like I said, I was never like Section 8 or anything, but I definitely have grown up most of my life, being on food stamps, being on government assistance, because my both parents worked. My mom at one point worked 2 jobs. My dad worked a full-time job, and we were still on, we still had food stamps, and we still had all these sorts of things, and we're barely scraping by on our bills, and it's just, it is the way it is. And so I've been in neighborhoods that were fairly bad, usually dominated, as far as the color goes in the community, by black people, and that's not a bad thing. I've grown up around a lot of black people all my life, and color doesn't necessarily represent personality, but a lot of times people refer to color as soon as something goes down and try to blame it on the color of someone's skin rather than the environment they grow up in and the people they're around, or maybe the way their parents raised them. They don't do that. And if you see a white guy react that way, they'll be like, that guy's a douchebag. But if it's a black guy, they'll be like, oh, he's freaking monkey or whatever. And it's like, really, dude? And the reason like I said, I talked about this whole topic is because just the racism and the complete, they don't even try to understand why people would react this way. And just to kind of give insight on it, it's because of the neighborhoods they're from, man. If you grow up like that, you're just used to this certain level of hostility. Yeah, and if someone comes up to you like, hey man, you got a problem? They're like, fuck yeah, I got a problem. And before that person can do something, they're gonna hit you. because they think you're going to do something. So they're not going to look like a. They're not like these white dudes who be like, no, you swing first. You swing first, bro. They're just going to hit you. And so be aware of that. There's a reason why the cops told a lot of these hood prank guys to stop, because one day they're going to get killed. And as soon as one of these guys gets killed, it's going to stop. No one's going to do it anymore. People are like, it's just a joke, man. Why are you punching me in the face? It's like, because you went up to him like, hey, man, you got a problem? You want to pop? And then it's so stupid whenever they get knocked out, and then people are like, oh, these guys are freaking monkeys. It's like, no, it's the environment they grow up in. You don't do that. You do not fucking do that. You don't go up to somebody who's used to that, just this certain level of hostility, and provoke them like that. You just don't do it. And it has nothing necessarily to do with race or color, just because it is majorly black. So let's just say that. So I just wanted to clarify that. I really hate it when people are just being blatantly racist. I think there are things about each race that they can be bad groups of each race, because they fit into this certain stereotype that isn't necessarily like an enjoyable quality to have in a person, but for the most part, I mean, these people are people. That's what it is. These people are people, and instead of being a racist piece of shit, just try to understand why they act the way they do. So let's keep that in mind. And like I said, me being from a poor neighborhood, I can understand it better. I don't fully understand it, but I can understand it better, because I definitely didn't come from the worst neighborhoods. But I didn't even come from the worst neighborhoods, and I'm a aggressive person. Like, I'm obviously like fairly calm and things in my videos, obviously, but I'm a very aggressive person. Like, if you ever hear me talk about fighting and fight stories and stuff, you'll understand that I'm an aggressive person. And it's just the way I am. It's just the way I grew up, and being around it. My dad has been a very aggressive person. Not like towards me. He's never like abused me, but that's his personality, and it's because of the way he grew up, and the way I grew up, because it's kind of like a cycle that tends to never be broken unless someone makes it out of that neighborhood and becomes super successful. That cycle tends to never get broken. And that's why you see, like, when a lot of times these hardcore rappers like Snoop Dogg or something, who makes millions and millions of dollars, and then he has kids who go on to be successful because he has money, and money tends to prosper, especially in America. And it doesn't have anything to do with color at all, because there are white convicts just like there are black convicts, and let's just go ahead and say that. So yeah, my whole point was just trying to tell people more or less not to be racist about it, because it doesn't have to do with color. Like, I used to not be so like I especially hate it when, like, I don't want to call myself a black defender, but I typically, whenever there's issues of race, I typically defend black people, because I can see that side of it. Like the Mike Brown thing, I've seen a lot of white people and there are a lot of white people who agree this is messed up, because the Mike Brown guy got shot, and he he didn't have any weapons or anything. He didn't have any weapons. He was unarmed, and the cop shot him to death, and that was completely unnecessary. And he probably did it just because of the race he was, and he could have restrained that guy. He was a cop. He had weapons. He didn't have to shoot him. He could have tased him. As a 17-year-old kid. So, whenever there's issues of race, I typically tend to look, not even necessarily defend the black side. That sounds so racist. I defend the right side, because the right side is the side that it needs to be acknowledged that a lot of people in this country are victimized because of the color of their skin, and it's not necessarily because of their actions. And racism definitely isn't dead. Let's just go ahead and say that. So now, to get off that, because it's a little bit dull and dreary. It's not fun necessarily talking about issues of race, because I know a lot of people have their own opinions, and they typically get butthurt, and and yeah, but let's just go ahead and, it's not even necessarily a political issue or anything like that. The issue is right or wrong. That's the issue, and I think a lot of people tend to have this kind of blindfold, because especially when you're white. Let me go ahead and say, when you're white and you've never been told, like, a lot that black people are treated differently. You've been told that black people are treated equally as they weren't in the past, and you don't see that kind of the same level of hatred toward black people that it may have been in the past. You don't necessarily see the current racism that's going on, and as a white person, it's definitely hard to see. And when you're a black person and you're a minority technically, and I don't like saying minority because I feel like it's disparaging, but but when you're a minority, you typically tend to see issues of race a lot more, because you're used to being a different color and people telling you that you're black, and you know that you're a minority, and you know that there's just certain things about your life and the way you grew up that make you think a certain way, and everybody's that way. And so the whole point of the topic was just to kind of provoke thought and kind of ask people to question things before they kind of instantly dismiss it as if racism were dead, or before they say something racist based upon what a certain skin color does. Like, I've seen a lot of people, I've seen it from the other side too. Let's go ahead and get real. There are racism toward whites. I think sometimes, certain groups can be a little bit overbearing when they come to, like, oh, well, white people are holding us down. No, that's not necessarily the truth. You're technically holding yourself down with the thought that white people are holding you down, which isn't real, but yeah. And I mean, there's a whole lot of different issues. I don't want to get into the white privilege thing, but another big thing about that is white people tend to accept other white people a lot more than black people tend to accept other black people. And I think that's where a huge issue comes in, especially when it comes to topics of race. It's I don't know. It's a hairy topic, but but regardless, it's I think it needs to be talked about. And I don't like I said, I don't want to talk about it too much. I think I'll leave most of this talk, especially when it comes to race issues. I just wanted to talk about that today. I think I'll leave most of this kind of stuff to that Let's Talk series that I'm going to be doing, which is what I'm going to be calling it. I don't know if anyone's ever done a series called Let's Talk, but since I'm a Let's Play channel, I thought it'd be clever. I don't know. But yeah, when I'll probably leave most of that to that series and kind of do a lot of things there that usually cover these topics and issues, and try to leave that out of this video or these series, because I feel like it's kind of negative, and I do really want to get off the topic, but I seem to keep circling myself back to it as I think of more points to kind of bring up and kind of put out there, because I feel like they're valid. Okay, so anyways, let's move on. The video's almost over. I know I spent a lot of time today talking about that, but yeah, it's I really need my own podcast. That's what I need, because I am very opinionated. I'm very, very opinionated, and I could talk for hours, especially if it's about myself. I could talk about myself for hours, which is a good thing, I guess, to have in a commentator. I guess is a very good trait to have for a YouTuber, if you can talk a lot. But yeah, it's let's go to the other side. Let's just go ahead and climb up here. I'll have to circle around to take it down. Let's just climb up. Alright, here we go. Do I have blocks? No. Alright, let's let's go down. I, for some reason, don't have any acacia blocks on me, apparently. Oh, okay, here we go. Good, I'm glad I have them. So yeah, I do want to finish the roof at least before the video's over, and I'll probably do the rest off camera, but it'll be alright. And next episode, we're going to start collecting wither skulls to fight the Wither for episode 95. So episode 94 we'll be collecting Wither skulls, and if we get enough within a certain amount of time, then we'll go ahead and do something else as well. And then episode 95 we'll fight the Wither. And hopefully that doesn't take the whole episode, but part of the episode probably will be prepping because I want to make strength potions and like a notch apple and all this other stuff. I think our set of armor is pretty good, but yeah, there is definitely going to be some stuff we need. So let's go ahead and continue placing the roof here. If I don't finish, like I said, I'll finish off camera. But yeah, I think it's turning out all right. Yeah, and I have a new series coming Saturday. I probably talked about it in the October update, the Terraria series that I'm going to be starting. Reason why is because of 1.3, or not, Terraria 3.0 or whatever is going to be coming out eventually, most likely. I haven't like read any news on it, but I know it's probably going to happen. It might take a while, but I know it's probably going to happen. And so I definitely want to run through the game, play through regular bosses, play through all the 2.0 stuff, and then I'll want to play 3.0 when it comes out. And I'm excited to play that series. It's a really fun game, and it's a fun series. I want to start basing a lot more of my series around things I actually have a good bit of fun with, instead of boring things. I tend to play boring things, which I don't know why. Like, World of Warcraft isn't boring. Fallout isn't boring, but like Kerbal was really fun until after a while it got boring. I don't know, man. I guess sometimes I just kind of get sick of games. It's not necessarily that they're boring. I just get sick of them. Witcher was boring. Witcher was actually really boring, and it didn't make for a good video, in my opinion. Or at least the way I did the series didn't make for a good video. I probably could have done like a bunch of side quests off camera or some shit, but I don't know. Every time I see a Witcher 3 trailer, I'm tempted to go play Witcher again so that we could play through it and then play 2 and then play 3 when it comes out. But I don't know, man. I never get it. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to start that series back up. I'm just not going to do it. Because if I start it back up, I know I'm going to get sick of the game again, and then I'm not going to want to do the series anymore. So I'm just not even going to attempt that. So, yeah. Oh, man, I got to use the bathroom really bad right now. Oh, and I'll do that as soon as this video is finished. Alright. Let's put that there. And so, yeah, I'm definitely not going to finish this, but I will do this real quick. But, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Just to kind of recap everything I talked about today, just keep in mind that a lot of times when there's issues out there, especially if you're white, try to think of it, or at least try to put yourself in the shoes of someone who is considered a minority. Just try to put yourself in those shoes and kind of think about the kind of things they may have to deal with. Especially look at police, question everything around you, and don't trust the media. That's what I'll say. Because the media sometimes can glorify on both sides of the fences, and no matter what side they're on, they can really spin the news and kind of take things out of context and out of control. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you guys next time.